everyone. Hope you're doing okay today. We're going to ease right on into a gentle flow this morning, something real nice and stretchy and fluid for the body. All levels accessible. Just make sure that you are honoring your own experience. If something doesn't feel right, if the body is saying no, then no matter what I am saying, you honor the call of your own body. And also, if you want to set up some music or something, if that serves your practice, make sure that your space is calm and ready for your body on the mat. Then go ahead and do that. And then this morning, if you do have a couple of blocks, we're going to start in a heart opening posture. So take one of your blocks and put it lengthways in the center of the mat, and then another of your blocks and put it widthways, either on the highest or the medium setting, whatever feels, or the middle rather, or the medium setting. Try to avoid the highest settings at the beginning of your practice, even if you do have a super fluid back. And then you're going to come to sit lengthways on your mat, and just lay yourself back, take yourself back easy, and have the edge of that block just sitting right about where, if you were wearing a bra, your bra strap would sit, so that your back kind of drapes over it, and then just have the second block catch the back of your head. Okay, so once again, if you have a super fluid back, some people can get that head all the way to the floor. I wouldn't advise that right at the beginning of a practice. Let's warm up and ease on into it, and then take the arms wide, let the shoulders drape, and then a couple of options with the legs. So for a total kind of easy way in, just take the feet wide, mat's distance apart, and bring the knees together. And that's a real gentle approach. If you want to open the hips as well as the heart, you can bring the soles of the feet together and take Supta Baddha Konasana. Just make sure there's no strain or stretch in the hips there. Or if you want a little more extension in the lower back, you can extend the feet forwards. Let the toes roll out and see how that sits. So try on any or all of those, see what feels good to you. I'm going to start right back here in that gentle posture. And just kind of feel any resistance this morning or this afternoon, whenever you're practicing. It's morning here for me. And just kind of bring your attention to your extremities. Just noticing any resistance. If the palms are face down, making sure the fingers are relaxed, that there's no pressure. Wherever the legs are, making sure the thighs are soft, the ankles are loose. And just allowing that skeleton to loosely hold the muscles around it. So it's almost like your skin and your flesh or this drape around your skeleton. And as we start to connect to the breath, setting our intention for finding space this morning, space in the body, space in the mind. Start to elongate your breath. It's a real beneficial point of focus here to make the inhales and the exhales roughly about the same length. So measuring them, you might measure them with a count. Perhaps 4 for the inhale, 5 for the exhale. And it's not so much that there's a technical expectation for the breath to be the same on the way in as the way out, but more a way to bring the mind into total connection with the breath. Losing our attachment to external distraction.
and starting to fire up that Ujjayi breath, that breath of victory. It's a yogic breath practice that has a texture and a sound to it. So you lightly constrict the back of your throat and start to breathe in and out through your nose. And you start to hear your breath. It's almost a bit like you are trying to fog up or defog a mirror. It sounds a little oceanic. Feels a little bit like you're dragging the breath right across the back of the throat. Once that breath becomes audible to you and you can feel it, it serves as a reminder of your presence inside of your body. Your ability to bring yourself and your awareness back to the present, to here and now. Just taking a couple more breaths here. I'm going to ease on out of that opening posture now. So extending the legs, if they're not there already, gently rolling to either the left or the right side, easing yourself up, taking away the blocks from underneath you, making sure that you can see me, placing them in front, and then laying all the way down onto your back. And then just feeling the spread of the shoulder blades, untucking the shoulder blades, maybe even taking a full body stretch. Reaching the arms above the head and the feet forwards, flexing the feet, kind of wiggling the toes and bringing the fingers above and beyond. And then curling the whole body in, so drawing the knees into the chest, walking the hips forwards, wrapping the arms around the shins, lifting the upper back off of the ground. And on your exhale, lowering the upper body to the ground, extending the heels up to the sky. Maybe taking some rotations with the ankles, noticing how that feels in the bottoms of the feet and the toes, rotating in both directions. We don't spend an awful lot of time exercising our feet, stretching them out, giving them some attention, and they kind of carry us around all day long. We deserve a little bit of space. And then drawing those knees back into the chest. And let's take a spinal twist to open up and enliven the digestive system. So take the arms out to the side. Take a deep breath in. And on your exhale, let the knees fall all the way over to the right. Good. And just spending a couple of breaths here. Maybe taking a hold of the left thigh with the right hand. Turning the gaze to the left. Just a little bit of engagement in the navel here too, really feeling that twist. And then taking a full breath in, traveling across that wide expanse of connective tissue across the lower back, and taking the knees all the way down to the left. And regrounding through that right shoulder, taking the gaze to the right. Bringing that left palm on top of the right thigh. And kind of melting into the posture on the other side. Let everything be kind of melty today. I might say melty a lot. Just let everything soften around all of the postures. And then drawing the breath in and the knees in one more time. And then this time bringing the hands underneath the calf muscles on top of the thighs, flexing the feet, and just taking a couple of rock and rolls up and down the length of your spine. And if that's not possible for you, then just finding your way on up any way that feels good. And then scooting yourself into the middle of your mat, rolling over your shins, coming to catch yourself in your tabletop posture right here. And just take a little bit of time to kind of move into that position, maybe backwards and forwards a little bit. Maybe there's a little bit of a child's pose for you. Kind of get creative, get a little bit funky and feline-y. Coming up with some great words today, a little bit feline-y with your movements into and out of the postures, and then coming into your tabletop here. So spreading the fingertips really, really wide, bringing the tops of the feet to the mat, grounding down from knees through shins to the tops of the feet, and then earthing your hands, so pressing down through the heels of the hands, radiating that weight through to the fingertips. Good, and then engaging the navel up towards the back of the body, lengthening the crown forwards, lengthening the tailbone back, and taking a full breath in. And then exhaling the back body, curling up, tucking the chin towards the tailbone into your cat posture, and then inhaling, diving the belly down, letting the heart travel through the gate of the shoulders, spinning the eyes of the elbows forwards, lifting the gaze into your cow, exhaling, rolling back to cat. And traveling through that cat and cow transition, to the rhythm of your breath. And in the same way as we got a little feline when we were moving into the tabletop, feel that same freedom, that same creativity in your practice right from the start here. Maybe there's a twist of the hips or a roll of the belly. Maybe the neck and the shoulders and the head get involved. Maybe you move forwards and backwards. When you come to meet yourself on the mat, be a little curious as to what feels good. Don't necessarily take everything as it's presented in front of you. Good, and then coming back into that tabletop. Nice, tucking your toes underneath your heels, stretching your hips up towards the ceiling or the sky, and pressing your heels down to or towards the mat. Nice, and just taking that first downward facing dog to feel into it, pressing your heels, pedaling your feet, perhaps shifting your hips from side to side. You know, practice sometimes can become a little bit like a dance, the dance of your body. You know, what would you do with your body if no one was watching? Well, guess what? No one probably is watching. I don't think anyone's watching me, unless the children are peeking out of the window. And then come back down to your knees. We're going to take a modified vinyasa here, always an option in a gentle flow. So walking your hands about a handprint in front of where they are in your tabletop, shifting your hips forwards into that space that you've created, and lengthening forwards, nice. And if you want a little more action, then lifting your heels up off of the ground, your feet up off of the ground, taking a full breath in here. And then exhaling, lowering the body in a straight line down to the ground. And placing your forehead on the ground too, so that the neck is long. Yeah, take a full breath in here, lift yourself up into your low cobra. Spend a couple of breaths here making sure you know what that looks like in your body. The hands a little lower than expected, perhaps the thumbs connected to the lower ribs, magnetizing the elbows towards one another. Making sure the gaze doesn't travel forwards. You're not looking straight ahead. You're kind of looking long and low beyond the end of your mat so that the neck is exposed at the back. One more inhale here. And then on the exhale, press into the hands, send the hips back over towards the heels, bring the big toes together and come to your child's pose. Good, and keep the arms active as well. Don't kind of fully melt into this often more of a resting posture. Stay a little active in that child's pose, because on your in-breath, you're planting the hands, coming all the way forwards once again into that plank with your knees down. Exhaling all the way to the ground. Inhaling, rolling the shoulders, closing them across the gate at the back of the heart. And then pressing, inhaling, exhaling over. Good, let's take that twice more. Inhale, come all the way forward. Exhale, lower to the ground. Inhale, lift and lengthen. Exhale, up and over. Good, one more time, action in the arms. Inhale all the way forwards. Exhale, lower to the ground. Breathe in, lengthen. And exhale, take it back. Good, nice. And remembering that option is always there when you come into a vinyasa. You're always welcome to bring the knees to the ground, to take the child's pose instead of the downward facing dog. It's much, if it serves you better to be breathing in a child's pose than to be really active and losing your breath in a down dog or a plank, then just have a think about which is more yogic for your body. I'll give you a clue, it's the one that feels better. Good, inhaling back up to your tabletop now. Tucking your toes, coming all the way up into your downward facing dog once again. Coming up and down on the tips of the toes a couple of times. Just, yeah, did you hear that snap, crackle, pop in my feet? Maybe that happened in yours too. That's a little more space we're creating there. And then take a full breath in. And an exhale out. Melt the chest. Good, inhale, gaze forward. Exhale, walk the feet towards the heels of the hands. And planting your feet about hips width distance apart, remembering that oftentimes we think that's wider than it actually is. So bring your feet a little closer together. Bring the fists in between the big toes to measure it off, and you can get really accurate with that. Bend your knees, settle your belly onto your thighs. Relax your head and your neck and your shoulders. And then today, let's create a little space in the shoulders too. So taking your hands behind your sacrum, interlacing your fingers. And if that's enough for the shoulders, if that's spreading you wide enough, then stay right there. Maybe a little sway from side to side. If you need a little more, maybe you drop the fingers, the pinky fingers, towards the front of your room or your mat. And on your next exhale, releasing the hands down. Nice, and then ever so gently activating the navel, rolling up through every single vertebrae of your backbone, stacking one on top of the other, maybe closing the eyes. And when the shoulders right on top of the ribs, reaching the arms up and overhead, bringing the palms together, drawing the thumbs down into the center of the heart. And resetting that intention, dropping that intention to creating gentle space in the body. And moving into sun salutation, so bringing the big toes to touch little space in between the ankles if that's comfortable for you. Reaching the arms up and overhead. And then exhale, take that forward fold into your Uttanasana. And take it real slow, especially the first time around. Maybe the knees bend, maybe they always bend, and that's absolutely okay. The intention here is to lengthen the spine, not to try to kind of straighten the legs and jam the abdomen back. And then bringing your hands to your shins, keeping the hips right over the heels, lengthening the crown of the head forwards, and stay here for a moment, couple of breaths. Pull the navel in, make sure there's no arch in the spine, and then really try to extend the crown of the head forwards, kind of like you're a turtle poking its head right out of its shell there. And then exhale it, it'll fold. Good, and then activate again through the belly as you root to rise and reach up overhead. And pull the hands down into the heart. Yeah, it's starting to feel good now, right? Inhale, reach up. And then exhale, take that slow fold forward, kind of sparkle downwards with your fingertips maybe. Inhale, lengthen out. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, root to rise, reach up. And hands to heart. Yes, one more, breathe in, reach up. Exhale, forward fold. Press and lengthen, extend every single time. Hips over heels, heart forward. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise. And hands to heart. That was half a sun salutation. Let's add on this time. So breathe in, reach. And every time you reach, make sure you're not taking your shoulders up with you. drop the shoulders. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, press and lengthen out. Exhale, this time plant your hands about 6 inches in front of your feet. Step your right foot and then your left to the back of the mat. Now this is a gentle flow, so if the plank posture isn't serving you, bring your knees down. Good, if you're staying up in plank, just a breath in here. And then exhale wherever you are, all the way to the ground. Good, rolling the shoulders down the spine, inhaling up to your low cobra. Exhale, lower the forehead. And then inhale, press into the hands and either travel back up through your plank or take it through your knees back into your downward facing dog, remembering always that other option to travel up and over through your child's pose first. Good, inhale, send your gaze forward. Exhale, bend your knees and then step the feet to the front of the mat. Find your length. Fold forwards. Inhale, rise. Exhale, root. And again, here we go. Breathe in, reach up. Exhale, fold down. Lengthen out, find it. And then plant the hands. This time the left foot goes back first, little neurological pathway strengthening there. And then this time I'm gonna come down through my knees, but you can leave your knees lifted if that feels better. All the way down on the exhale. Inhale, find that low cobra. And then just to show you here what that can look like, you either take it back to your down dog or travel through your child's pose and back up your own way. And your vinyasa practice can encompass any or all of those versions at different times. Every single time you ask yourself which one feels better, which one serves you more. Inhale, gaze forward. Exhale, bend, step. If you like to float, go ahead and float. Lengthening, releasing. Blooming on up. And pull it into the heart. Good, nice. Let's take a sun salutation B in a real gentle way too. So bring in those big toes to touch if they traveled a little wider. Sitting your hips back, pulling the navel in to lengthen the tailbone to the ground and sweeping the arms forwards. Let's just take 3 breaths in our Utkatasana chair pose. Anyone who knows me knows I love a good long chair pose. Take a breath in. So I always have to temper myself in a gentle flow, and then exhale out. And then lengthen through your Ardha Uttanasana, plant your hands. Take yourself down and through your vinyasa. Whichever way feels better to you. And meet me back up in downward facing dog. Just a little side note here. If you land in your plank with your knees up or your knees down and you just think that vinyasa, I just can't do it, then just simply shift back to the down dog. Option 3 always available as well. Good. We're going to inhale, lift that right leg up. And exhale, step the foot through between the hands. Good. Now you guys stay there for a second. I'm just going to give you a little handy hint here. If what happens to you is that the foot lands right there in the middle, and then it's kind of a struggle to get that foot forwards, always the option to bring the foot forwards with the hand, but just try when you lengthen that right leg up to come really high on the tip of the left toes. Kind of lift yourself up out of your shoulders, lift your belly, lifting away from the mat, and stay lifted as you pull the knee through so you have the space to step forwards heel first. Perhaps easier said than done, but good to try. And then we're going to lower that left heel, straighten the hips, rise up, warrior 1, exhale, settle in. Good. Union of opposites between both pinkies. So you're trying to press the weight into the knife edge of that back foot so you're lifting any weight out of the knee. Take a full breath in. Exhale, plant your hands, flick that left heel to the sky. I'm going to step right back into down dog, but there is that space there for a vinyasa if that feels better for you. Take a full breath in if you're staying here in down dog, and blow it out of the mouth. Good. And then on the left side, inhale, lift the left leg up. Same thing here, go real high on the right toes to step the foot through. Lower the right heel, square your hips, rise up. Exhale, settle in. Good, and you're aiming for those two hip bones, kind of like you've got two headlights, circles on the front of your hip bones. They're pointing forwards. They'd be shining on the wall or the fence or whatever's in front of you. Straight forwards. Good, take a full breath in. And then exhale, plant the hands, and once again here, either step right back into down dog, or you can take your flow. Hips up and back, downward facing dog. Good, nice, take a full breath in. And a full breath out. Good, inhale, gaze forward. Exhale, bend your knees, empty out, come forwards. Find your way, lengthen, and fold, and rise. And hands to heart, Samasthiti. Reconnect. And just close your eyes. Feel the connection between the thumbs and the sternum. Sometimes it's nice here as well when your thumbs are connected to your sternum, your hands are in the Anahata, to just gently tug the skin upwards. Kind of reminds you to physically lift, to physically lower the shoulders and lift the heart, but also to lift the corners of the mouth, the corners of the mind, to stay light and breezy. So you guys can stay facing the head of your mat. I'm just going to turn around, face forward so you can see what I'm doing. You're going to inhale, reach up, the feet are together. You're going to grab a hold of the left wrist with the right hand, lengthen up out of that left shoulder, and then exhale, pressing the hips to the left and sending the hands to the right. Coming into that crescent shape. Inhale, reach up through the center, switch the hold of the wrist, lengthen up through the right arm, and exhale over to the left. Good. Inhale, come up through the center, separate the hands, palms face forward. Take a full breath in, lift the heart, and ever so gently press the hips forwards and express the chest to the sky or the ceiling. Good. Pull the navel in to right yourself. Exhale, forward fold. Good. So coming back to the head of my mat now. Find a little length in that Ardha Uttanasana. Plant your hands down and step yourself back to downward facing dog, remembering that option for a vinyasa. You know where they come. You're welcome to take them. Nice. Inhale, lift the right leg up behind you. Exhale, step that foot through between the hands. This time, lower your left knee, untuck your left toes. Walk your hands just forwards of that right foot. Scoot your right foot forwards, kind of wiggle the toes forwards. And then when you found that little bit of extra space, press into that left hip. Pressing both hips forwards, but really feeling the extension through that left quadricep. Nice. Good. If you have your blocks, sometimes it's nice to be up on those blocks. And a little more extension there. Good. Take a breath in here. And then exhale. Good. Inhaling, walking your hands back towards your left knee, drawing the right toes towards the right knee, coming into half Hanumanasana, half of a split. So really feeling the action through the back of the right leg there. Good. And then on your next exhale, walking those hands forwards, pressing into the ribs. Good. One more time, backwards and forwards. Inhale. Try and maintain that length. It's very tempting to kind of dip down here. Really stay up and lengthen through the spine. And your exhale takes you forwards. So you're going to scoot that right foot back a little bit. So knee right above the ankle. Tuck your left toes. Lift your left knee. And then we're going to really pull the navel up and in. Lift the hands off of the floor first. Rise up if we can into crescent lunge. If you need to leave the knee down, that's absolutely fine. And then lowering the left heel, opening out warrior two. Good. And making any adjustments in your stance. Nice. We're going to take an inhale. Take that left hand down the back leg. Reach the right arm up and over. And then on your exhale, placing that right forearm down on top of the right thigh, lifting the left arm towards the sky. And you have options here. You can leave that left arm lifted. You can reach the left arm up and overhead. Might even feel good and spacious to take a couple of circles with that left arm. Good. Making sure you're not kind of dipping down into that right arm, lifting up and out using the abdominal muscles. Breathe in. And then on the exhale, we're taking everything down, bringing the hands either side of the right foot, flipping that left heel to the ceiling. And once again, option to take a flow, equal option to just step back to downward facing dog. And never feel like you're stuck where you landed or you're static whenever you land in a posture. I always like to kind of melt and move kind of a little bit creatively with the shoulders and the feet and the hips, just to make sure everything is still alive in there. And then inhale, we're lifting the left leg this time. Same thing to lift the hips to step the foot through. Lower the right knee, untuck the right toes, and we're scooching forwards with the left toes, walking the hands forwards. And on your exhale, coming into that press of the hips. And I'm just going to go ahead and grab my blocks to show you what that looks like with the blocks if you have them. And your blocks really are, I think I sometimes call them limb extenders in the studio. They're not there as a crutch. Sometimes I say crotch by mistake. They're not there as either a crutch or a crotch. They're there as an extension to your body where you need a little extra. I always tell the story that I used to be really frustrated with my arms. My arms are short. I have T-Rex arms. Until I realized that these blocks really are my friend. They make my arms even this much longer, stay up really nice and tall. Anyway, I digress. Take a full breath in here. And an exhale. Inhaling, you can walk the blocks back with you, drawing the left toes towards the left knee. Live action through that left leg, the back of the left leg. Good. Pressing down as well into that right big toe, the top of the right foot. Really stabilize through that. And then your inhale and your exhale takes you forward. And then once again, breathing in, take it back. A little bit of dynamic movement. Exhale, bring it forwards. Good. And then you can remove those blocks, scoot yourself back a little bit. Tuck your right toes underneath your right heel, lift the right foot. Same thing here. If you need to keep the knee on the floor, you're going into the modified crescent while you're rising all the way up. And then we're moving into warrior two. If you're on the ground here, simply lift the knee, lower the right heel, spin up and over. If you were in your crescent lunge, you're lowering that right heel, opening the left arm forwards and the right arm back. Nice. And then it's a breath in, extending that right hand down the back leg, reaching the right arm up and over. And then on your next exhale, coming forwards, left forearm lightly on the left thigh, reaching the right arm up and over. And same thing here, maybe it's a stretch, perhaps it's a circle. Take a full breath in here. Exhale, lower that right hand to the ground, both hands, flip the right heel up to the sky, and then same thing. You can take a flow if it serves you, or simply melt back into your downward facing dog. Take a full breath in here. And then open that mouth. Really let go. Sometimes it's really nice to imagine you have a mouth right in the center of your chest. So take a full breath in here, and then imagine opening that mouth on the center of your chest. Helps you melt the chest back towards the thighs. Good. Inhale, gaze forward. Exhale, bend your knees. Bend your way to the front of the mat. Good. Find your length. Exhale. Inhale, root to rise. And bring the hands down into the heart. Good. Connection, thumbs to sternum. And we'll just take that flow one more time. So inhale, reaching the hands up, bringing the feet together. Grabbing a hold this time of the right wrist with the left hand, lengthening up. Exhaling, hips to the right, hands to the left. Inhale, reach up through the center, navel engaged the whole time. Switch the placement of the hands, hips to the left, hands to the right. Good. Inhale, come back up through the center, turn the palms face forwards, drop the shoulders, breathe in. Exhale, express the chest to the sky, press the hips forwards, just a micro back bend, okay? We're not going for anything crazy here. Pull the navel in to right yourself, and then exhale, forward fold. Good, inhale, lengthen out. Exhale, plant your hands in here, opportunity for a little bit of a flow, opportunity just to skip it, and go right back into your down dog. Good, taking a full breath in here. And a full breath out. Good, and then we inhale, reach the right leg up. Exhale, step the foot forwards. Lower the left knee, untuck the left toes. Take a little bit of time to place that right foot a little further forwards. Take a breath in. Exhale, find the space in the hip. Lengthen through the quadricep. Good, inhale, melt back into that half of a split. Exhale, come forwards. Dynamic movement, remember your blocks are there. Should you need them or should you want them? It's not always a need, sometimes it's a desire. Good, bringing that right foot just a little closer to you underneath you, tucking the left toes underneath the left heel, lifting the left knee, rising up. Exhale, opening out. Good, gentle back bend, reverse warrior. Exhale, come forwards, right forearm on top of right thigh. Good, and then maybe you rotate the other direction this way. And reaching up through that left arm. Exhale, lowering the hands down either side of the right foot. Lift that left heel towards the sky, and then step back, downward facing dog. Full breath in. Exhale out of the mouth, nice. Inhale, lift the left leg up high. Exhale, step the foot through between the hands. Good, lowering that right foot, untucking those right toes, scooching that left foot forwards. Exhaling into your hips. Nice, inhale, take it back, draw the left toes back, lengthen through the spine. Inhale, come forwards. Exhale, take it back. Coming back into that hip press, scooting that left foot back underneath the left knee, tucking the right toes this time, lifting and lengthening that right leg, rising on up, crescent lunge. Exhale, open out, warrior two. Good. Real length from fingertip to fingertip here. Inhale, reverse warrior. Exhale, come forwards. Settle. Same thing here, a little bit of extra space. Nice, inhale, reaching that right hand up and overhead. Exhale, planting the hands down to the ground.
maybe this time, maybe this is the time you do add in that vinyasa, last one of the practice. Inhale, lift up. And then exhale, everybody traveling with the knees wide and the big toes to touch into a child's pose. And just let your breath settle. Gently close the eyes if that's comfortable for you. If it's not, then don't. And just study and scan the body from head to toe and notice the extra space you've created. Be aware of additional stillness on the surface of your skin. When we're rushing and when we're busy and when we're living from day to day, the skin is, I often find, a little tingly, like there's an anticipation in the skin of what's next, in the flesh. And when I practice and come to this still part of the practice, I notice that the skin has settled down a little bit. That I feel less tight. A little more fluid. And when you're ready, lifting yourself back up into your tabletop. I don't know about you, but I can never resist when I hit a tabletop, no matter if I'm supposed to do it or not in the class, to take a cat and a cow. It just feels kind of like a natural movement there. So if that feels good to you, I'm just going to go ahead and throw it in there. Feel free to do the same. And when you're done with that, you're going to kind of come on over. We're going down onto our backs here. I don't know, is that my good side? I feel better on this side. I'm going to turn around and do what feels good in my body. I'm going to come to this side. Settle yourself in the center of your mat. We'll take a little bit of action in the abdominals here. So either you're coming to the tips of your toes, you're taking your hands behind you, and you're simply going to lower backwards and up. A little bit of triceps, a little bit of abdominals. Or you're going to bring the palms of the hands behind the thighs, lift the feet up, flex the toes back towards the knees, take a full breath in, and then exhale, extend the feet forwards, and pull the knees in. Extend the feet forwards, and pull the knees in. Good, just a couple more times. I know, it's gentle flow. There's gonna be a little bit of action so we feel the release. Good, and wherever you are, breath in, and then exhale, take yourself back, all the way down, laying on the mat. Good, and bring the soles of the feet together. Let the knees open wide. If you feel like the blocks would be supportive under the thighs, then go ahead and place them there. And bring one hand to the heart and one hand to the belly. And just let the breath settle into the body in this new perspective. We're just going to take a couple more postures before coming into our final rest. So bringing the palms to the outsides of the thighs, gently drawing the knees together. Always, when you lay down on the ground, walk your hips towards the front of the mat. I kind of get bunched up here in this arch. So walk the hips forwards. And then you're going to press your palms to the mat, walk your fingertips forwards, and your ankles back towards your sacrum. You might even be able to tickle the backs of your ankles with your fingertips. Bring the feet a little closer together than that. Good. And then take a full breath in here. And on your exhale,
lift your hips up into your bridge posture. Good. And notice here, sometimes what happens is the chin kind of dives down into the chest. Try to lengthen the chin upwards so there's space in the throat and the chest moves towards the chin instead. And you're going to take 5 breaths here. Good, last one. Then on your last inhale, lift the heels up. Exhale, slowly roll down through the spine. Good, take the feet wide. Wash the knees from side to side. Nice, then draw the knees into the chest. And if you can, roll up through the spine. Bring the soles of the feet together. Walk the hips backwards this time towards the back of your mat. Lengthen up through the head, draw the navel in. And then exhale, come into that forward fold here. Sometimes it's nice if you'd like to rest the forehead. You can grab a block, place it, if you can see, place it right on the feet there. And hold the forehead. Any way those blocks can support you, the blocks are your friends. Use every exhale to express a little more. Inhale, rolling up through the spine, placing the soles of the feet to the mat. Take yourself back down onto your back. Draw your knees into your chest. A little rock and roll from side to side. Let's take one more bridge posture. So, soles of the feet in towards the sacrum, reaching the fingertips forwards. Take a full breath in. And exhale, lifting the hips up. Good. This time, you can stay right there. Take your 5 breaths. I'm just going to show you that restorative option. With the block, pressing the feet in, lifting the hips, you can take that block and place it underneath the sacrum and take a restorative hold there instead. I'm just going to go ahead and continue to demonstrate the restorative hold. Feels good. Inhale, coming to the tips of your toes. If you're on the block, lift your hips to slide it out. If you're not, stay lifted. And then exhale down through the spine. This time, take the feet about mat's distance apart and just rock the knees in towards one another. Just let the sacrum relax and return. We're just going to take our final few little cool down postures to move into our final resting posture here. So draw the knees in towards the chest. Reach for either the insoles or the outsoles of the feet. Draw the knees towards the armpits. This is your Ananda Balasana, your happy baby. It's one of the postures that makes the most sense to me in what they named it, because so often you'll see babies just naturally in this position. And it's fun to return to some of those more childlike postures. Playfulness in the body is super important. You can rock and roll from side to side. Or you can stay in stillness. You might extend one leg and then the other, just to feel a little bit of awakening inside of the thighs. And then bring the feet back onto the mat. Cross that right foot over the left knee, that right knee over the left knee. Take the arms out wide, palms face up. Hips to the right, knees to the left. Come into that spinal twist once again. This time let's take a restorative approach to it. So bringing the gaze to the left. if there's a lot of strain and stretch in that right shoulder, sometimes kind of the weight of gravity pulls that arm down, it's not quite ready to be there, then feel free to place that right arm on the belly. Try to avoid allowing the mind to race ahead to what's next. When you step off of your mat, whatever's waiting for you, it doesn't get done any faster if you think about it for the next 5 to 10 minutes. So try to stay where you are. Be here. Draw the right knee into the chest, realign the hips, place that right foot on the mat. Cross the left knee over the right knee, hips to the left, knees to the right. Same thing here. If it feels good to have that left shoulder grounded, then go ahead and stay that way. You're always welcome just to ease off on that shoulder stretch there. And then gaze to the right for that restoration. Just one more full breath in here. And an exhale out. And then drawing that left knee back into the chest. Good. Finishing as we began, drawing the knees into the chest, wrapping the arms around the shins, giving yourself a squeeze. Take a full breath in here. And then exhale, lengthening out into your Shavasana. Adjusting clothing, adjusting hair, making all of those little adjustments to serve you. And then kind of using your blocks or your blankets. I'm just going to set myself up here to rest alongside you. Maybe there's a blanket nearby you can use to cushion the back of the neck. Just take your time, be a little fussy for a minute or so to get it right. And then when you're ready, be nice today to place the hands on the belly to stay connected. Always an invitation, especially if you're outside, to keep the eyes open in a Shavasana. It'll be a different experience. Or if you prefer to close the eyes and go inside, and let them be gentle and soft. And then allowing this part of the practice to be as important to you as all of the rest. To be as committed to this space and time as you were to the stretch and the movement. And to allow all of it to sink in.
And slowly start to come into an awareness of the outside edges of your body. Feeling the temperature of your skin. Re-inhabiting all of the space on the inside with your breath. And beginning to feel a flicker of movement in your extremities. And as that movement gets a little more expansive, maybe rotate the wrists and the ankles. Eventually reaching the arms above your head and the feet forwards and stretching from tip to toe. And when you have enlivened the body sufficiently, curl into the fetal position, either on the left or the right side. So in a moment more, rest. Sutra 23 of Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, translated by Lauren Roche in the Radiance Sutras, tells us to forget all of your ideas about the body, that it's this way or that way. Just be with any area of it, this present body, as permeated with limitless space, drenched in freedom. And using the strength in your top arm, lift yourself into a seated position facing the front of your mat, bringing your palms together at the center of your heart, Anjali Mudra. Keeping the eyes closed and the gaze soft behind the eyelids. Bringing the thumbs to the third eye, gratitude for freedom of thought. Thumbs to the lips. Gratitude for freedom of communication. And comes to the heart, gratitude for the freedom that we all have to show love, even in the most difficult or different of times. And with gratitude for the teachings and the blessings and the light that shines from each of you, thank you for joining me on your mat today, in your space. It's a gift.